Chelsea's sporting directors Lawrence Stewart and Paul Winstanley are under fire following Enzo Maresca's complaints. Chelsea's sporting directors Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart are facing a potential backlash as the club's striker crisis grows increasingly urgent despite spending £63 million. The pair, appointed from Brighton and Monaco in January 2023 to replace Christopher Vivell, have overseen a flurry of deals involving players under the age of 25 since their arrival. But outside of the club, there is a palpable lack of satisfaction from the fan base, who largely believe the club have little to show for their £1.3 billion gross expenditure on transfers. Stewart and Winstanley spent the majority of the winter transfer window working on potential deals for wingers such as Alejandro Garnacho, Jamie Gittins, and Mathys Tel. None of the three arrived, though, with the latter joining Tottenham on a loan deal from Bayern Munich. Chelsea were linked with Aston Villa striker John Duran, a long-term target for the Blues, only for the Colombian to head for Saudi Arabia in a £64 million switch. Reports later emerged claiming that Chelsea had decided to pull out of the deal amid concerns about his suitability to the squad. Related articles. Now the Blues have lost two strikers, Nicholas Jackson and Marc Guiu, to injuries that will keep them sidelined for several weeks. Maresca blamed the situation on bad fortune, dismissed claims that the Blues were naive in the transfer window, apparently unwilling to place the blame on his superiors. But the need for a new striker was identified a long time ago. Not signing one in the summer and then in January as well is an unacceptable outcome, considering Champions League qualification is a realistic goal for the club this season. Instead, Stewart and Winstanley are set to wait until the summer to pursue a big-money deal. Few could blame Chelsea fans for taking that with a pinch of salt, though after last summer's failure to sign Victor Osimhen. Chelsea were seemingly been put off by the Napoli star's wage demands, and he joined Galatasaray on loan instead. But some might pose the question as to why those in charge of negotiations hadn't budgeted for his salary before opening talks. With Jackson out, Maresca insisted he does not regard Christopher Nkunku as a clear option to deputize for the Senegalese. A surprising statement, given that the Frenchman, 27, has scored 13 goals this season when playing in such a role. I said since day one that Christo is not a 9, he is an attacking midfielder. We know very well that Christo is not a 9, he said on Thursday. Speaking about alternative options, he said, Pedro, Neto, Noni, Madueke, or even Tyreek George, they can try and be a solution for us. Jadon Sancho has different kind of skills. When you don't have a proper 9, you need to use a different kind of 9, but you need to change the way you play. We will find a solution. We use your sign-up to provide content in ways you've consented to and to improve our understanding of you. This may include adverts from us and third parties based on our understanding. You can unsubscribe at any time. Read our Maresca's comments may prove to be damning for the sporting directors, given that they have splashed out £16 million on David Washington and £10 million on David Datro Fofana. However, Washington is set to be loaned back to Santos, and Fofana is nowhere near contending for a first-team place under the Italian. At £32 million, Jackson has proved to be a shrewd signing, and paying £5 million for Guiu looks increasingly like a snip for the Blues. But their failure to sign a top striker has now stretched across 5 transfer windows, and to kick the can down the road until the 6th in the summer is baffling. Internally, their position is not deemed to be under threat, as co-controlling owner Behdad Iqbali, currently running the show at Stamford Bridge, continues to back the under-fire duo. But with Maresca taking heat for Chelsea's recent decline on the pitch, there are only 2 men to blame for their transfer failures. And it may not be too long before Iqbali cranks up the heat on his lieutenants. Hello, welcome to Chelsea Sport Focus. Chelsea are interested in exploring a move for Victor Gyökeres' understudy at Sporting Lisbon, Conrad Harder, according to reports. After an impressive start to the season, which saw them briefly mentioned as Premier League title contenders, Chelsea have fallen back into the chasing back with 2 wins in their last 2 games. Despite a 2-1 win over West Ham, questions are still being asked about Enzo Maresca's side, with the Blues lacking the same attacking fluency with which they started the season. Nicholas Jackson has not scored a goal since mid-December, while the attacking trio of Noni Madueke, Pedro Neto, and Jadon Sancho have just 3 goals combined since the turn of the year. The Blues opted against bringing in attacking reinforcements in January, instead letting versatile forward Joao Felix depart Stamford Bridge on loan to AC Milan. However, the West London club are expected to head back into the transfer market in the summer as they hunt for attacking reinforcements to bolster Maresca's squad. A centre forward to compete with Jackson is likely to be a high priority, with TalkSport reporting that Chelsea are interested in sporting striker Harder. The club have already sent scouts to Portugal to watch Harder, who has started the last 4 games as Gyökeres continues his comeback from a minor injury. 19-year-old Harder has seen his minutes limited due to the form of Sporting's talismanic Swede, but has still managed to notch up 11 goals in all competitions this season. And while Gyökeres is primed to attract a host of offers from top clubs this summer, Harder will also command a significant fee given that the forward has an €80 million release clause in his contract. Harder is yet to be capped at senior international level for Denmark, but has played twice for his country's under-21 side. The youngster, who signed from Danish club Nordsjælland last summer, has also been linked to Manchester United in a move that would see him reunited with former boss Ruben Amorim. Amorim has been linked with signing several players from his former club, with a separate report suggesting that United have already reached an agreement to sign Giovanni Quenda at the end of the season. Another news: Chelsea set to be offered Rafael Leao as AC Milan permanent Joao Felix swoop. Chelsea allowed last summer's signing, Joao Felix, depart the club on loan to AC Milan in January. The Portuguese's game time at Stamford Bridge was largely limited to the UEFA Europa Conference League and the domestic cups, although he has made a fast start to life with the Rossoneri, with a debut goal against AS Roma in the Coppa Italia last week. Sergio Conceição has been initially impressed with the player's attitude and form for the club, while Enzo Maresca bullishly responded to Felix's early impression at San Siro by claiming that the Blues don't miss him. In spite of the former Atletico Madrid star's loan being in its early days, a permanent swoop to the Serie A has already been mooted for Felix. According to Italian outlet Calcio Mercato, HT 90 Minutes, AC Milan are set to offer Chelsea the chance to sign Rafael Leao in a swap deal, including Joao Felix as well. Leao has been a hot property in recent years, as he has established himself as one of Europe's most exciting wingers, having also been on the Premier League side's radar since nearly a year ago. Win-win situation for all parties. Enzo Maresca's rather arrogant response to the media's recent question to Joao Felix perhaps hints that the Chelsea manager is planning for the future without the winger in his mind. With that said, permanently parting company in the summer would work best for both Chelsea and Felix, as the Blues look set to back Maresca for the longer term. Chelsea paid £42 million in fixed fees to sign him from Atletico Madrid last year and will look to recover as much of their investment on the forward as possible from Milan. Rafael Leao's inclusion in a potential swap deal would act as a massive sweetener, especially given that he has a lucrative £145 million release in his contract and is an absolutely fantastic winger. The Blues are expected to consider acquiring a winger in the summer, and Leao fits everything they are looking for. The 25-year-old has the best years of his career ahead and contributes directly in the final third very consistently. As part of a deal involving Felix and Leao, Chelsea may still need to pay some cash, although they may very possibly be open to doing so. It will be interesting to see what the financial implications on the Londoners would be for such a deal to go through. Another news: Chelsea are now going to sell confident attacker, who was denied dream move in January. Chelsea look set to offload at least one of their big-money forwards this summer. Chelsea have allowed several attackers to leave Stamford Bridge over the last couple of transfer windows. The above includes the likes of Joao Felix and Raheem Sterling, though the duo have only left the club on loan. Enzo Maresca was asked about Felix following Chelsea's 2-1 loss to Brighton and Hove Albion in the fourth round of the FA Cup over the weekend. He told reporters that his side were not missing the 25-year-old despite their struggles at the Amex. Chelsea planning to sell Joao Felix last week. It was reported by one outlet in England that Felix may have played his last game for Chelsea following his loan move to AC Milan. However, since then, reports from Spain have gone one step further and claim that Chelsea will definitely offload the Portuguese. According to Sport, the Blues are going to sell Felix this summer, though it is not clear who his next club will be. Felix has made a good start to life at Milan, scoring on his debut in a Coppa Italia tie against AS Roma. If the Portugal international continues to deliver at the San Siro, then Milan are likely to be one option for him. Joao Felix wanted to join Barcelona. Felix spent last season on loan at Barcelona, and it seems like he enjoyed his time there. The same Sport report claims that Felix wanted to rejoin Barcelona in the January transfer window, and that they were his first choice, but the Catalan club were not interested in him. Milan are not a bad alternative though, and the most important thing for Felix is getting minutes. In the past, his former manager Graham Potter has described him as confident via Chelsea's official website, and he probably needs game time to get that confidence back. Under Maresca this season, the former Atletico Madrid star made just 3 starts in the Premier League. All in all, it would now not be a surprise to see Felix leave Chelsea permanently in the summer despite only arriving in West London last year.